Preparing live stream. Okay. I believe we're live. We're still waiting for Facebook to kick in because this is a kind of a new technology here, making sure that we're redirecting to Facebook. And it is, I think, posting. So thank you everybody for joining. This is hopefully one of many author interviews, spotlights. I am Jesse Rivas. I'm an author, mentor, and founder of Above the Sun, and we have a mission to change the world through authentic story. And so, kind of our goal on these little interviews is to showcase creatives on their authentic journey and just finding unique perspectives and hopefully to inspire other creatives that are watching this and helping others follow along on the creative journey. So this is our first time, and what better first time guest than to have the great Sally Webb. So hello, Sally, how are you?
Hi, Jesse. Oh my goodness, I love it. Who better? We'll just wing this, which is
Yeah.
perfect. And yeah, exciting that we are hanging out in that writing space.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So thank you for being willing to wing this for me. We actually we talked about not doing a live initially, but then we had Sally's mastermind group, and one of the people from there said, "How about you just go live?" And we're like, "Okay, all right. We're authentic. We're fun. We're going to be in. We're gonna change the world. Just might as well just do it live." So and here we are. So tell us, Sally. I forgot. I mean, we chatted a little bit. So we met probably about 2 years ago, right? And that was through our good friend Debbie. Um, Care to share a little bit about that journey of how we got connected?
Absolutely. So I run an annual mentorship program and we do it online, but a little bit like we are now, to be fair. And I just happened to mention on there, oh, I'm thinking of writing a book, of which Debbie was part of that What Next crew.
Hmm.
And her little antennae went up and she said, ah, and she messaged me. She said, are you seriously thinking about writing a book? And I said, yeah, I am actually seriously thinking about it. She said, I've got just the person for you who helped me write my book. And so she sent me your email. I got in touch, and my whole world changed from that point onwards. Because what was just an idea, and yes, I was seriously thinking about it, but hadn't done anything about it, suddenly became a reality over that
Yes.
period of time. And we've had about 18 months together, you and I,
Yeah.
and but it's been I can honestly say it has been the most exciting, exhilarating, challenging journey I have been on, but it's been amazing. I think everyone should write a book just
I,
quietly. I
I
really do,
agree. I agree.
because the process that you go through is it's uncomfortable, but it's next level. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's how we meet.
That's how we met. And yeah, it's been a wild ride because I feel honored often every time we meet because you have your own share of passion and let me just introduce you. And so, Sally is a very crazy, amazing firecracker. She is full of life, has a lot of zest and a lot of spirit, and she is a real deal. What do we call it? What do you call it from the Yorkshire? You call a spade, right? Is that's kind of your thing? Yeah, you're bold and you have a lot of heart. And one thing I love about Sally too, she's a perseverer. It took about but a little bit over a year, maybe two, to get the book out. But you pushed through, and she's authentic. We'll get into this later, but her book is amazing, sharing full of authentic stories and about her own mistakes and coming out stronger on the other side. Sally, is a life coach, and it's LIFE. We'll get into that a little bit later too. It's an acronym, and she helps people fulfill their dreams. You are the CEO of Inspiring Perspectives. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Uh, you're dedicated to transformation. You mentor people. You overwhelm people with growth, and she's doing all kinds of cool stuff to change the world, which is so exciting. Why we have her on here. I know that she's going to be a world. She is a world changer already. But specifically, the latest project is called The Great Exchange, and it's been such an amazing book to help craft. It's unique. It's not necessarily a memoir. It's not necessarily a nonfiction. It has pieces of your story through it, really deep and raw pieces, but also a lot of good transformational tools to go along with it. So I encourage anybody, and we'll share more about how you can get involved in Sally's journey. But this is the book about how to transform your life. And so, yes, Sally is our world changer. She's living her legacy. She helps clients and she helps people through the journey of coming alive and living for the best, living life to the fullest. How was that, Sally?
That's amazing. Are you sure you've got the right person that sits behind it? Like, yes, it is what I do, but what I love about what I do is it's not about me. And I think that's the joy. It's actually about the other person in the room. It's about their journey. It's about where they're going. And I just have this sense that because I am so full of energy and I am trying to be relatively calm and not too feel over the top for this, but because I've got like there's this burning energy in me all the time, it's not for me. It's actually to put wind in people's sails. It's actually to help them. And,
Mhm.
so I feel like I'm like the cheerleader behind, come on, you can do this, like it's because that we need more of that in this world. There are so many people that are out there to go, oh, you can't do that. Oh, to all those naysayers. It's like, you
Mhm.
know what? You just stay on your bleachers. You just stay on the sidelines. That's absolutely fine. But we're getting on. We're in the game. We're playing the game. We're having fun. You can do what you like over there. But if you're not actually in the ring, you know,
Yeah, that's so good. Do you have you seen that the it just reminds me of that clip from Facing the Giants. Have you seen that one where like oh
no.
it's so good. It's it's no spoilers to those who haven't watched it, but yeah, there's a clip where I mean it's a Christian film and you have somebody who doesn't believe in themselves and the coach is says, okay, let's go ahead and blindfold you and do it's called the death crawl and he's like, I can't do it, coach. And so they put the death crawl as another player goes on their back, and he's having to crawl down the kind of the end zone, like the as far as you can go. And the coach is down there and says, you can do it, you can keep going. And he's like, I can't, I'm hurting, and it's hurting. He's like, you're so close to the 50-yard line, and it's like, just go. And the guy is crying out. He's like, I can't do it. And he's like, he's getting down to his level. He's like, you can do this. You can go. You're almost there. And the goal is to make it to the 50-yard line, right? And he's like, you're almost to the 50-yard line. It's like, you're almost there. He's like, I can't. And the coach is just yelling at him, like, you can do this. You got this. And then finally he collapsed. Like, I can't do it anymore. Takes off the blindfold and he's made it the entire length of the football field. Not even half, but the entire length. And it's just that encouragement. I feel like that you're one of those encouragers.
Yeah. And actually, you see it because you are too. There is no way that I could have produced this
Mhm.
without you. Like this, because yeah, there you go. Oh,
There
look,
it is. Yeah,
snap.
right there. Yay. Same to you.
Oh, that's so funny. So, Jesse, just a quick side story on this. When we wanted to get the proofs done so that we could actually see it and make sure it was going to be good for the people that were reading it and the cover was right and the type was right and everything, we from New Zealand had to go to America to get it done. They wouldn't send it here, but Australia wouldn't do it within time frames that we needed. So, because Australia is the nearest to us here. And so we had to send it to Jesse, and then Jesse had to send it to me, and then it wasn't quite right, and then had to send another one. So there's just the
Journey.
hoops. We honestly, it has been so that's why the pair of us have got the only two copies at the moment
Yeah,
of the
and
quick.
that's why they have the little bar across. That's a proof copy, so it's
Yeah,
not for
yeah,
resale. But
yeah.
when you
Yeah,
guys
not for
buy it, it will
sale.
not have that
Yeah.
bar on it. So that gets us to the first question: is why do this? Why start on this journey? What inspired you to write the book? And just kind of like yeah, why? Why do all the pain?
It's an interesting thing for me because I sit right now in peace and joy and love, living patience, living kindness, living gentleness, really learning to walk into my destiny,
Yeah.
into my journey, into my identity. And there was a crossover time, which is part of the book, but that isn't how my life has been. I
Hmm.
have, and I'm feisty. I've never not been
Of
feisty. I'm
course you are.
always going to be that way. But I was bitter. I was hurt. I was rejected. I had had lots of things go wrong in my life. And to be honest, I don't want anybody else to have to go through the rubbish that I went through to get here. I wanted to fast forward everybody from where they are now, whatever that pain is, into the promise,
Yeah.
into the goodness of God, into how we've got a default setting and we've got a master setting. And the default setting that we all default to is, I'm not good enough, I can't. And not everybody does this, but we're much more inclined as human beings to look at the negative
Yeah.
than the positive, to look at what we can't do rather than what we can do.
Hmm.
And so I live now in a how can I? There must be a way. What is it I don't know yet? What so this curious, inquisitive, come on, it's impossible until it's done. Come on, let's find out what we can do to make this happen. And
Yeah.
so the book was written because I actually don't want other people to go through an ugly divorce and
Hmm.
crucify their children, excuse the expression. But it's like, I know my children carry rubbish from my divorce, and I don't want that. Enough's enough. Enough. We don't have to live in a world of pain. We don't have to live in a world of sadness and grief. And God's blessed me with some keys to
Hmm.
unlock the treasure within, to allow people to go from the pain. Let me show you how. Let me walk you through my journey. And if that resonates with you, let me give you what God's given me to
Hmm.
help me break free from that ugliness.
Well said. Yeah.
So
So
that was
good.
my.
Yeah. And it comes true. And so, like, so you mentioned the divorce and things like, so what are some personal experience, if you don't mind? I mean, you kind of went there of like, because I know you're just a honest and free spirit. So what are some experiences that really shaped the themes of your book?
I mean, divorce is one of them, and it's the journey that takes us to divorce. It's the journey of, and I walk people through, I fell in love with my ex-husband. And what did I fall in, who and what did I fall in love with? And then I walk through, and the reader can see the changes. When we're living it, we can't see it. But looking back, as I basically went back and started to put my life on paper, everything just came up, and I could see the pattern of what had happened to then get us to domestic violence, which is where we sat. And he is not a bad person. I am not a bad person. But in the book, it takes you through how we got to that stage. It also takes us through how we can then heal afterwards so that we don't carry that going forward. Other things in the book are parents who I went off to boarding school. I really felt like I'd been dumped there. My dad left when I was 11, or actually, mum took us when I was 11. So we left dad, no contact with him for 6 years, pretty much. And the journey as a child that goes through that separation. So it's interesting. The book actually addresses it initially from a child's perspective and trying to understand why I felt my parents didn't love me, why I felt that they just dumped me, and going through and working through actually that wasn't the case, but it was how I felt.
Hmm.
And so then going through it again, and it was interesting, I was on a call literally just before this one and realized that I was 11 when my parents split.
Hmm.
And when my ex-husband and I split, my daughter was 11. And
Wow.
I haven't made that connection until a chat this morning. So it's just interesting. I deal with both sides of how that is. And also going to an all girls school, being miserable, feeling like my parents didn't care, that nobody loved me, nobody saw me, nobody cared. And then, getting a few hugs from another girl. And so how that panned out too. And I think that I haven't gone into that. I've touched on it,
Hmm.
but it's because it's such a can of worms in terms of the identity of who we are. But it wasn't that we were lesbians or we were gay or that was where we were going. We just were two very lonely, very miserable girls who just needed some comfort.
Yeah.
And so we found that. So I there's a few things that I feel I touch on, but I hope that I touch on it with love. Oh, I
Mm,
can feel that.
mm,
Oh, I can really feel that. Oh, just give me a moment.
mm,
Oh,
mm.
that it is done. Oh, I'll get there.
Yeah, thank you.
Through a lens of kindness and
Mm,
compassion. Because for me, the world was very judgmental. It was very condemning. And it's like, no. So this book is the great exchange. You can be in that space of judgment or condemnation, or we can exchange it and cover it with love and peace and compassion
mhm.
and start to ask questions to understand, not ask questions to point the finger. So it's just yeah. So there's some quite hardcore
Mhm.
things in there that I hope I touch kindly and
Mhm.
with honor and with love for those people who were the other party, like my ex-husband. He's a good man. He is a good man. Some stuff's happened. We didn't get on, but that's not his fault. We both have a part to play. So I'm hoping it's honoring.
Yeah, and I thank you for being very honest and sharing about all of that. Um,
Mm.
and so like with that, then since you are touching on these really deeper things, like what would you think that if you were to say a mission for your book or the your own calling, like or what you hope that readers take away from it, kind of what how does that align your own story and what do you hope for that your story does for the reader?
It's hope. That
Hmm.
there is hope, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that they can get, because we all go through storms, we all go through things, and people might not have gone through what I've gone through, but and I talk about the death of my dad and him dying of cancer. And so, we've all got grief or pain or trauma in some way. And my heart is that this will bring people hope. And it will actually put the tools in that it will give them what they need to be able to start to literally exchange it for themselves, reframe it for themselves, so that they can get rid of all that angst and sadness and guilt and whatever it might be that they're carrying. And some of us, we don't even realize we're doing it. I was not aware as at the time, but now obviously reframing.
Sadness
So
and
it's
guilt
just
and whatever
I
it might
hope
be that they're carrying, and some of us we don't even realize we're doing it. I was
very
not
loud
aware
going on with this. I
as
can hear
you know
myself
at the
coming back.
time. Oh
So
yeah. Now obviously what is going reframing. On here? Sorry about that. That little bit of feedback there. I apologize.
that's all right. I could just hear myself coming back. So I
Yeah.
suppose the reality is, I hope that what I'm doing is giving the keys to freedom to people where they don't have to go to a counselor, they don't have to go to a psychologist. They can just read this book for themselves, do the activations in there, and uncover the stuff that's unhelpful. The joy of being able to write, as I found, it takes it out of what's in here and puts it on paper so you can see it for what it really is. And if people can bring that out, put it onto paper, they can see it for what it really is. And I give them the tools to then cover that with love.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. I'm seeing people I see Marilyn in the chat giving us a little heart. So hello Marilyn, good to see you.
Oh, bless
She was one of the people who helped with the book launch too. So hello. If anybody is watching right now that wants to put some a question for Sally in the chat, we'll get to that in a little bit. Kind of more of a honoring the audience, but um yeah, so thank you that for that, Sally. So then, so this is your heart. So what about like challenges, kind of that you faced in writing this book, or you know, in the process, and kind of how did you overcome them? It can be personally or even externally, at any kind of challenges.
Well, the first challenge was actually, getting in touch with you guys, and you were amazing. You made me so comfortable. And actually, I had no idea where to start. So that was my first challenge. It's like, I've got this thing. I think I need to write a book. Where do I start? And you and Alicia were giving me very clear guidelines on how to structure the book, how to structure your chapters, maybe think about this, what's your message. So you were amazing at just getting me off the starting blocks. And sometimes for many of us, that's the hardest part.
Hmm.
From there, having the opportunity to talk to you, because clearly I'm a talker, every fortnight, to be able to go, because I needed to go away and do the work, and then I got stuck. So it gave me a couple of weeks to get and do the work, and then I'd get stuck, and then you guys would give me feedback, and you were in and out of the document at the time, which was super helpful. So having that feedback, having the accountability, that was another key actually, because otherwise you say, I'm going to write a book. And if you're not, I'm going to meet somebody in a couple of weeks' time, that, all the other things in life will, it doesn't matter. Like you're not going to do it. But because I knew I had to show up and I'd paid. So when you put money over it too, you tend to, when you pay attention. So it's like, right, I'm doing this. It was my commitment. So putting the money in, got over the challenge of not being committed, having accountability, you guys getting me started. And then it actually flowed like it just poured for 3 months, pretty much. You guys just kept redirecting and tweaking how I was writing and how I was formatting it, but the story just poured.
Hmm.
And that was from September through to December. And then I said, look, I'm going to have to put a hold on this because I've got conference. And conference was at the end of January. And I knew again, the follow up from conference was like I wasn't going to be back into it. So we had 2 months off. So that was a challenge because I had 2 months off. And then I had to come and get back into it. And it took me nearly a good 4 to 6 weeks of being with you guys in that month. And I just couldn't get my traction. But you guys stuck with me. And we thought we were going into editing stage. But actually, what had happened in that 2 month break is I got a whole heap of downloads for the next layer. So all we'd really done, which in the book now, there's 4 parts to each chapter. The first 3 months or 4 months that I wrote was just a love. It was just my story. It was my memoir. It was how I saw it. I had no idea that there was then going to be 3 more parts. And so the next part that came was the reframing. It was the great exchange. It was going back through each chapter and each story and each period in my life and looking at it through the eyes of Christ. And for non-believers or pre-believers, it's looking at it through the goodness of
Hmm.
who, not the pain. So it's the promise, not the pain. So God got me to walk through, looking through the heart of God, the eyes of Christ, and speaking through the Holy Spirit to write that second part. And then you were brilliant because so that was like, okay, well, so what? So what? Who cares if that's my story? Like, what the heck? Because no one was going to read that. And then you said, hold on a minute, you need to think about talking to your reader. And so, what's your message? And so, with yours and Alicia's mentorship that brought me through, we got this whole nother section. And it's only light. It's just, if
Light
this mentioned anything to you, if this is nice and fluffy, it's
and
beautiful.
fluffy.
Hey, see, because Jessie's nice and light and fluffy.
Well, I can
But
be.
yeah, you're kind, you're caring, you're compassionate. You guys were like my writing at the beginning, by the way, was rubbish. And these guys never said that. They were so encouraging. They cheerled me on. There were moments when they had to share some things that I probably didn't want to hear, but it was exactly what I needed to open the door. And that was a challenge. Like, I've literally got naked on the page, and that's not pretty, let me tell you. And so they got to see it all unpretty, pretty ugly on the page. And then they had to give me feedback and clothe me again. So bless them, they did it beautifully. And then the last part that then came out of all of it, because I was going to write the course. It was like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll put the coaching in. And it just didn't work. It wasn't sitting. So that was my other challenge was I'm a coach. I'm a mentor. I want to help people. And there was no help in here. And then God said, no, you're going to do the course after the book. People need to just have a light touch. It's actually still a fire hose. So the engagement part of the book is like, right, if you've got a problem, sort it out now in the kindest possible way. So those are my challenges.
That's That's really well said there, Sally. That was exhaustive. It's almost yeah. So, and you bring up some really good points, and I just wanted to kind of yeah jump in here for those of you that are potentially writing a book. She brings up a really so you mentioned the different layers, and so the story layer was one, and I always one of the books I want to write at some point is like having a book is like having a baby. I haven't had a baby, but I do believe that it's that when you said getting naked and or bleeding on a page, that first phase is really we don't want to edit it too much, that you just want to get it out. It's like you nurture yourself, you write and you get it out. And then that's when you kind of, once the quote unquote baby is out, then you start growing it up. You start doing the editing and you start putting the other layers into it. And some of those layers, any good nonfiction book that's going to change the world really has about three different pieces to each chapter. And Sally touched on it really well. It's the story. You want to have something that's authentic. Every nonfiction book has some level of still story, connection, case study, or something. In Sally's case, you wrote about yourself, and then you have a teaching. You kind of lead into that teaching where it's like, okay, let's now, based on this information that I just wrote down about myself, what is something that I can teach the reader about? And then that final thing is that application. That's the hardest at times. Whether you don't want to. I mean, depending on if you're a big wig, you might want to say in you language, like I tell you to do this, but no, what Sally you did is you kind of did it more of like, dear reader, like here's what I encourage you to do, and that was a beautiful application. So I just want to share a little bit about that to our watchers, but um, it was a good process, Sally. You did really well. Thank you for all the encouragement to me, even on this, on that, because I know that can be challenging. It can be challenging nursing or guiding you through the process, but you are definitely a champ.
Oh, bless you. And actually, that the other challenge, it's all very well writing the book, it's all very well getting it there. But my next challenge was, and going through the editing process, none of us want to prune, but going through that process was actually brilliant. It has transformed all of my communication, and it has helped me to cut to the chase because I'm a talker and I could go forever. So getting me to be more concise has been amazing in what I do, and it's taken me up another level. But funny that Marilyn's on today, watching, because actually the crew that you got together, and I know you're going to do it again, for how to launch your book. I could not have done it without the information that you between you all shared. And and Rebecca, who wasn't even technically part of that crew,
Yeah.
managed to help me raise 8 grand here in New Zealand to pay for this to be published and to go through the process. So it's a whole package, which I love the fact that you've used the kind of analogy about birthing, about giving birth, because let me tell you, I've done that twice, straight out the hatch, no sunroof for me. You got to, I'm not too posh to push. So it's all around, but it is like that. You put it out there, you get naked, and you've also got to not care what people think.
Mhm.
You've got to just put it out there. This is how, and what people think is none of my business. And then you walked me through the adolescent, or the young primary school to intermediate, but that how to launch your book and how to get into that next stage. We needed more people, and that's exactly what happens when you're in adolescence. You go from needing your parents to your peer group to a wider, so coaches that speak into you, sports coaches or arts people that speak into you, or musicians or whatever, and you go into that. And that's exactly, so I still had you guys walking with me like my parents, because
Hmm.
we were birthing a baby. And then we got this beautiful layer of Marilyn and Cara and the team in to bring that wisdom. And it was like, and it's literally like I coached the U13s, which is the last year of high school here, and who you are, because who you are tells you what you're going to do in life. And I felt like that year 13 going, looking at the stage, looking at the world out there, going, holy moly, I've now got to put it out there. And they've got to leave school and go off. And so that actually is a book launch. The book
Yeah.
launch is going out. It's all very well writing about it, it's all very well learning about it, but now you've got to get out there. So, and I'm about to launch it 2 weeks away. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But so we're not quite in the last challenge, but you have prepared me for that challenge. You've prepared me, and everything is set to go. So
It's
thank you.
exciting. And yeah, we'll talk about the upcoming book launch here pretty soon. We're almost, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I do want to, I want to ask is, I know you gave a lot of advice, but for the creatives who are kind of starting the journey, um, you know, because you didn't know if you had a book and you had some trouble along the way. I guess what kind of advice would you give to somebody on a similar path as you in your journey of book writing?
There's so many pearls of wisdom. The first for me is to connect with the right people. So you and Elizabeth and Above the Sun were definitely the crew that I needed to walk me through it. So definitely you've got to go, you've got to run with people who are ahead of you. So you were ahead of me, you produced your own books, you were absolutely the right people at the right time. So that's people who've got wisdom, and it doesn't matter whether you're writing a book or anything else. Go, you've got to follow, you've got to tuck in behind the people that have already done it before. The next for me was I know that if I'm not kept accountable or I don't pay attention. So I
Hmm.
needed to invest in because actually what by investing in you, I was actually investing in myself.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I would have taken 3, 4, 5, I probably would have taken 10 years or never even written it. So I needed that accountability. I needed somebody who'd gone ahead of me, and I needed somebody who would keep me on track but speak encouragement and wisdom into me, because otherwise I'd just never have done it. Or what I would have done is written the book, which I think happens to some people. I don't know, but I sense that you've written the book or most of the book, or you've got most of it on paper. And then you're like, oh, maybe it's not good enough. Maybe I'm not quite sure. Maybe I haven't got the richness out yet because you've actually only started the journey. And so getting mentors, getting a coach, getting somebody, and that was the gold. I would have stopped there had I not been working with you and Elishaba.
Hmm.
And what I would have put out would have been something very bland, and really not almost worth reading, to be fair.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there, Sally. Is that, and I'll let you finish along as well more. But like those who are looking to write, isn't that if you're it doesn't have to be professional per se, but you're getting somebody. You need to have a cheerleader. You need to have somebody in your camp. It's like if we're using the same analogy of the birthing, who's in your birthing room? Who do you want? You'd probably only want like in that first phase. You only want the doctor in the room. You only want your loved one. You don't want to have a lot of people in that first phase. And so that's why we do developmental coaching, and we're very, very kind. And I just encourage people who are writing early on to not have too much input while that book is being formed. And then once it's done, then that's when you can kind of invite the other people into it. Would you agree with that, Sally? I don't know.
Oh, I love it. And I love your analogy because you're so right. Like in those early stages, you kind of you want your midwife, you want your doctor, the people that know what they're talking about, and your close ones. So, and sometimes to be fair, like my husband was amazing. He stood with me, but no one else knew that I was, well, people knew, but I wasn't, they weren't in on the journey, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And part of that was because I needed to be really clear. If I was going out to too many people, I would get really confused. And it
Mhm.
was my story. It wasn't theirs. It was my story. So I just needed to quietly get on with it and put it to paper. So spot on with that. And then, of course, once the baby's born, as it were, or you've gone through those stages, you do need more people, just like the kids go to school or they go to kindergarten, or you need play groups, or you need other mums. It's the same thing. So you're right that once it was kind of looking like we were there, I was then like, who are my beta readers? And at the same time as the beta readers, you introduced me to the book launch crew. And it
Mhm.
was I thought I would, by the way, anyone who's thinking of writing a book. I thought I could write it and have it done in 3 to 6 months. I did write it in 3 months, but what I would have put out would have been rubbish. So it took, and I thought there's no point in me joining this group that Jesse's put up because I'm going to have my book published before then. So, like, what's the point? What's the point in learning about launching after I've launched it? It was absolutely spot on. It took me the full 6 months to go through the process. So, it doesn't take much to conceive a baby, but it does take quite a long time of process, of growing it. And then, as I know, releasing my children at 18, out into the world, there's a process to this. And you kind of got to stick with it. So you need the right people. And I've, I think the other gold that has come out of this book, I found my tribe and I found my vibe that I had
Ah,
not had, I didn't have until this point. And the people that I put my stretched out and said, could you be a beta reader for me? Could you just see what you think? I have been blown away by their support, by their wisdom, by their comments, by their insight. And they've just taken the book up another level. Amazing.
awesome. So we'll get, I want to hear about what you're doing next and your conferences and all that stuff. But I guess the last question before we get into all that fun stuff. And if anybody in the chat wants to write any questions you want to go ahead and ask Sally, we will go ahead and do that too. To me, so Sally, what would success, I mean, beyond, yeah, we need, you want 100 sales and you want, thousands and millions of dollars and all that. But beyond that, the sales and the numbers and such, what would success look for you on this book launch in 2 weeks?
I think the reality is, I mean, the book, the launch is just the tool to get there, to be honest. It's not like it's just part of the process. But if this book could get into the hands of somebody who is not feeling so well, or is not feeling so flash, or is just going through a challenge, and it helps one person, it was worth writing.
Good.
At the end of the day,
It's the one.
that's what it is. It's just if one person, this success for me will be if one person turns around and said, Sally, you really helped me through that hard time. Or Sally, your book was what I needed at the time that I needed it. And if one person gets back to me, this is a success. It was worth the blood, sweat, tears, and finance to get here.
That is amazing. Okay, so tell us what are you doing next? Whether you want to talk about your upcoming launch or the conferences, kind of what's next for you?
Well, it's been a very interesting journey writing this book. I
Yeah.
thought it would just be a book. So that's fine. The book's great. And we have got the launch on in New Zealand on the 15th of February. But I did laugh because where you are, it's Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And this book is all about love. So I was like, oh, that's brilliant. So I quite like God's sense of humor on that. So that's the launch day. And as Jesse's just mentioned, I'm quite greedy. I put all my heart and soul and everything into it. I'd love to make a bestseller. How cool would that be to have your first book published and become a bestseller? Now, I didn't understand the system until I hung out with these cool people. And I have a 24-hour window to basically sell 100 books to get
Mhm.
into the bestsellers of the categories that these guys have helped me work through. So, my call out to anybody listening or watching the replay or whatever is please come and register. We'll put the link in the chat and come and join me. The good news is we've got a 6 a.m. in New Zealand. I'm not quite sure what time that is. I know it's in the States and Canada. Can't remember what time it is. But I've done that at 6 a.m. so you guys can come. So it's like 5 hours earlier than whatever it is now for you. And then we go into 3 launches. So for those who are local, we've got Havelock North, and then the town of Hastings, and then the town of Napier, which are all local to here, doing live ones in cafes and bookstores. So
It
you'll
will
get a
be 11 o'clock Pacific the day before, right?
yeah,
So yeah, and then that'd be 1 o'clock Eastern time in the States.
great. So we're now, yeah. So if I'm 6 a.m. on the 15th, you are 11
AM.
a.m. and
Mhm.
1 p.m. in,
Eastern
yeah.
Coast,
Love
yeah.
it. Love it on Valentine's Day. And what a better gift to give somebody on Valentine's Day than how to take a pain into a promise, how to turn fear into love. Brilliant, just quietly. So I thought
Yeah,
it was quite
because
funny.
you're discounting it that day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a massive discount, particularly and especially for those online. So we've got a 6 a.m. and a 7 p.m. for online people because we've got people in the UK as well and also in Australia that won't want to get up and can't be here. So nationals here. Um, and we will be offering that book at the lowest possible price it can be for 1 day
Okay.
only. So yeah, it'll be amazing. And we've got spot prizes. And we've even managed to find some amazing spot prizes for our online guests too.
Very cool. Yeah, so and we'll put that link in the chat, but it's what inspiringperspectives.co dot we call it NZ, but you call it Z, right? So so it's New Zealand / book launch. And so we'll put that in there to get you can follow Sally on that. And I think Sally, I mean, we have used some good categories. I don't think it's going to be quite 100. Well, it's a safety to get 100, but I'm sure it's if it's less, we'll definitely have more than that. But I'm saying you don't think you need that many to get number one bestseller. But everyone on here, let's just kind of blast it out of the water and help Sally's launch go well. Do you want to share anything about the conference, or do you want to just keep it at the book launch for now? Like,
I can share a little bit. So what happened from writing this book is I've then got this amazing course. So the next kind of step up is this. It's blossomed into this most amazing course. So all of the trainings or the coachings or the encouragement that's in the book comes to life, and you can actually be live with me as I unpack that, and you can ask your own questions on the course. So we're offering an online one that you can do at your own time, but there's also a live version coming out. And that's leading to the experience. So we're running a 2 day event. Dion Fansil, who has been very kind and has written the forward for the book, is going to come and speak a couple of times. He is the most incredible leader, and his tech and his wisdom. He's a genuine apostle who is out there in the marketplace transforming businesses. So he's going to talk about leadership and he's going to talk about collaboration and how key they are. And we've got a local hero here who just happens to be my bestest friend, Emily Britton, who is CEO of 3 businesses and has 5 children and manages to juggle it all. And she's going to talk about governance. But the difference is we're not just going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the personal alignment because I'm a personal alignment coach. So I'm going to talk about how to get into alignment with your true values, with who you really are, etc. But coming back into alignment with your true character, with your awesomeness, with your brilliance. And each one of us is going to bring a practical application to what we do. So we're calling it an experience because actually what we want to happen is we really want people to experience it for themselves rather than this just being going to a lecture or going to a preach or going to, an event and then nothing changes. So out of this has birthed a course and then the most incredible. And I put my heart on the sand or line in the sand, and I'm going out to our top conference venue and put it to. I'm going to put it there. So we're going to put it in that conference venue. I'm going to go for gold. It's hybrid, so internationals and those locally or nationally can all join us in any shape or form. So come and have some
perfect.
fun.
So first the book launch, and that's going to be in February 14th, and then the conference will be probably in around April or so. Is that correct? Or
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
So great. It's been wonderful. We'll put all the information. So first step is to join Sally for that launch, and we'll put the link there. Buy the book, and then they'll have all the information on how to do that amazing course and conference. And yeah. This has been great, Sally. I love that you are a world changer, that you talked about just bringing the right people around you, and the journey of the creative process. And yeah, I mean, it's a creativity is a journey for a lot of us, and it's hard, but I think that there's that one movie that said it's the hard that makes it good, right? And it's we all have to do something hard with our lives, and whether that is writing, whether that is painting, whether that is any number of things, missionary, all these things of we all, I believe that God has called us to do something hard in our lives to change the world. And so it's something if you're called to, if you can't not write, then I say that go for it and pursue it. Thank you for sharing about, what getting naked or bleeding on a page. We call it bleeding on a page, but I love your phrase too of being exposed, which is it feels that way. It feels like you're being exposed. But like you said, it's the one person that makes it all worth it. So um, that's uh that's all I got. Any last things you want to say to the people before we bid them adieu?
Firstly, I want to say thank you to you, Jesse, for being patient enough to walk with me for 18 months
Mm,
as I went through this journey and for opening doors that no one else could open, and all the opportunities that you have brought and for being part of our master's mind, which has again taken things to another level. And for anyone listening or listening to the replay, we're sitting here because we're doing what we're called to do. And each one of us has a calling. Each one of us is extremely valuable. I believe each one of us is uniquely designed to be brilliant.
mhm.
And when brilliant people run together, when they run in their lanes and they run towards the goal, which is to be amazing and to do what you're called to do, we're in flow, we're happy, we are, obstacles come, challenges come, but we overcome them all the time. So I suppose to anybody who's listening to this, if you've got something on your heart that you've always wanted to do, could be write a book, could be sing a song, could be going to the Olympics, it could be anything. If you've got it on your heart and you really want to make it happen, come and hang out with us because we're here to cheer you on. We're here to make a difference. We're here to tell you you can do this because I am absolutely over the people on the bleachers speaking
Yeah,
into us, telling us we can't. It's time to say we can and we can do it together.
Good word. It's time to say we can. Thank you,
Yes.
Kimberly. Yes, very inspiring. Great perspective. You should start inspiring perspectives, which she does. So thank you for being on the call or on the video with us today, and thank you for everybody who's joining us and watching the replay. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and go change the world.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, apparently I'm the host. How did that happen?